a dark comedy with an ensemble cast that features Arrested Development and Monty Python alumni. A movie that was dubbed a part of an anti-Russia information war. Hello and welcome to Not Now in Theaters. I'm Will Turntail and this is my retro review for The Death of Stalin. The Death of Stalin is about the chaos and struggle for power after Soviet leader Joseph Stalin's demise. But this is no documentary or historical drama. It's a British-made dark comedy that's like the long-lost cousin of Dr. Strangelove. Here, history is more of a backdrop, a caricature of events rather than an account. It plummets us into a world of paranoia that the Russian people and Soviet cabinet members struggle to navigate alive. And if you're looking for cold, calculated politicians looking to grab power, well, they're here. But they are more characters from the Three Stooges than Game of Thrones. Based on the graphic novel La Mort de Stalin, it features an ensemble cast, including Steve Buscemi and Monty Python's Michael Palin. And though the movie was aiming for laughs, it grew teeth. Russia panned and banned it, calling it a piece of an anti-Russia information war. The outrage against the film was big enough that here in America, the movie marquee at the Uptown Theater in Minneapolis for The Death of Stalin sarcastically, or maybe earnestly, read, "Hopefully we don't get poisoned for playing this." Still, it's not all the controversy that brings the movie to your attention. There have been heaps of critical acclaim. For example, Metacritic currently rates the movie at 88%. And the film received nominations for 2 British Academy Film Awards and 13 British Independent Film Awards, winning 4. But despite all the acclaim from critics and audiences alike, was the film satisfying? Let's find out. Is The Death of Stalin a good movie? The plot of The Death of Stalin. Joseph Stalin calls Radio Moscow and commands the director, Yuri Andreev, to send him a recording of the night's performance. The problem? The performance is already finished. Frazzled and fearing he will be executed if he disappoints Stalin, the director refills the auditorium and forces the orchestra to play Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 23 over again. At first, pianist Maria Yudina refuses to play again, but she is convinced to do so. When the recording is delivered to Stalin, he finds a note from Yudina tucked inside the sleeve. Later, Stalin reads the note. It calls him out for his evil deeds and wishes him dead. He laughs as he reads it, but suddenly begins to choke and falls to the floor. When the members of the Central Committee, including Nikita Khrushchev and Lavrenti Beria, learn about Stalin's illness, they rush to his home. With Stalin dying, the members of the Central Committee plot the country's fate and the best alliance to serve their own agendas. And this fine film stars Adrian McLaughlin, Paddy Considine, Olga Kurylenko, Simon Russell Beale, Steve Buscemi, Rupert Friend, Jason Isaacs, Michael Palin, Andrea Riseborough, and the names just go on and on. You can read them here, the rest of the cast here in the transcript. So what's good about The Death of Stalin? Well, first up, it is what we can call show us the paranoia, and it is worth 2 points. In this film, we see how Stalinism infected the Russian people with crippling paranoia, the kind that's actually funny. After Andreev answers Stalin's phone call requesting a recording of the night's performance, he tells the caller he'll be back in touch in 17 minutes. Then, realizing the caller was Stalin, he panics. 17 minutes from when Stalin called, or 17 from when he hung up? Did he hear the correct phone number to call Stalin back? A 5 or a 9 at the end? And the Central Committee must also walk the tightrope. At a dinner party at Stalin's, Malenkov asks what happened to their friend, forgetting they were killed. Khrushchev, coming to Malenkov's rescue, quickly runs interference with a joke. Later, Khrushchev tells Malenkov to write down everything he said tonight, just in case of an inquisition later. And Khrushchev goes home to his wife and reviews the jokes he made to Stalin, documenting what made him laugh and which fell flat. It's wild and wacky, but it feels authentic to a country under a dictator's grip. This next one is called A Portrait of a Disgusting Crew of Pigs, and it adds 3 points. The standout cast gets excellent lines, and they all threaten to steal this movie. They make us despise, yet feel uncomfortably drawn to, the madness of the committee's games and sick double dealings, perversions, or outright murder. Jason Isaacs is instantly magnetic as Field Marshal Zhukov. Sarcastic and with his chest puffed out, he carries himself with the swagger of a man who gets lost in peacetime. Steve Buscemi's Nikita Khrushchev loves to share horrific anecdotes and drops funny quips. He never shuts up nor stops plotting. Jeffrey Tambor shines as the insecure and hapless Molotov, who shifts his thinking with whatever way the tide seems to be turning. His patheticness holds shades of his George Bluth character from Arrested Development. And Simon Russell Beale crafts a despicable Lavrenti Beria. He hands over names of people to kill like it's a shopping list. He expresses gratitude for desperate wives who trade sexual favors to save their husbands, grateful they, quote, fuck like sewing machines. Yeah. And then there is the fact that the film is not as difficult to follow, which adds a point. With a large cast and being a political comedy, I was expecting a serpentine plot here like a barrel full of tangled snakes. But the plot is easy to follow and won't leave you behind. And the film has tons of accents, but none from Russia, interestingly adding a point. One of the more unexpected creative choices is that The Death of Stalin is in English, and the movie has no Russian accents. Director Armando Ianucci did this for two reasons. Number one, he didn't want the audience to be distracted by any poorly executed Russian accents. And that's smart because unless you're going to make a bad Russian accent into a happy accident like John Malkovich as Teddy KGB in the poker film Rounders, yeah, plenty of poor Russian accent has tarnished some performances over the years. Reason number two, director Ianucci didn't want to dissuade the actors from improvising, which would have been harder without their native speaking patterns. Yet, as Russia is diverse, Ianucci wanted various accents in the film. And it's a choice that works. Steve Buscemi walks around lambasting underlings and complaining to his comrades in his familiar Brooklyn accent. Adrian McLaughlin's Stalin sounds Cockney, like Michael Caine or Jason Statham's accent, which in this case serves to undermine his powerful status, actually. And Jason Isaacs' irreverent Zhukov has quirky Yorkshire flavor, like Sean Bean or Sir Patrick Stewart. And then there are the film's hot potato politics, which adds 2 points. At the heart of the drama, the Central Committee is constantly squabbling and jostling for position. Who will take the fall for each new problem? It exposes this film's Soviet machine. It's not a grand vision or wisdom at the top. It's a circus of people playing hot potato with blame. One may turn against the other at any minute, only to become allies again if the winds shift. So what did I think didn't work as well in The Death of Stalin? Well, first up, it's you can't get enough of the comedic dialogue, or can you? And that will remove 3 points. I have only one negative note for this movie, okay? But it carries a lot of weight. And by weight, I mean an anvil, not a dumbbell. There are some funny events, but most of the jokes in this movie are verbal barbs and retorts. And for me, it gets tiring. I wasn't expecting slapstick Mel Brooks type of stuff here, but some variety was needed. I'm not trying to get all Zucker, Abrahams, and Zucker either, like the makers of Airplane. Still, you could imagine, instead of mountains of dialogue, say a gag around Stalin slipping slowly into death. Like imagine the whole Central Committee gathering around Stalin, trying to hide their relief at his passing. They hang on to every breath to see if it's the last. Their heads bobbing up and down with Stalin's belly as it's taken in the air, you know? The tension, the comedy, as he oh so slowly dies. Or does he? In one of the film's moments, Beria is caught dejected at what looks like a turnaround for Stalin. So, this was done to an extent, but I imagine it could take it to another level, right? Or maybe an object gets stuck on Stalin's corpse's face, and they must attempt a strange path to keep it hidden from the public for the funeral. Or maybe post-death Stalin's makeup makes him look comically bizarre, complicating the funeral because he looks like a drag queen now, you know? There was an opportunity for various comedic choices, not just dialogue-driven jokes, and I don't think it was taken. So adding it all up, The Death of Stalin earns 6 points. On my scale of let's not watch, should I watch, or go watch this movie, that will get it my should I watch rating. I love comedies with dark humor. I love British things. I'm a fan of witty dialogue. I love movies based on history. The critique of the Stalin-era Soviet Empire still feels timely. I liked all those things I just wrote above, and okay, enough defenses. And I'll just get to the butt part of this. I love this movie's setup and execution, but didn't love the film. There, I had to do it. It's a crying shame because everything about the movie is pretty brilliant, yet the film's brand of humor fell flat with me. But that doesn't mean you won't enjoy it. This is a highly rated independent film with great performances and a kick-ass original idea. Plenty of audiences and critics have praised it and found entertainment here. So even though it wasn't fully to my taste, I encourage you to try the film. This effort deserves it, and perhaps your alignment is perfect here for the Death of Stalin. Okay, that's all I have to say about the Death of Stalin. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, be sure to subscribe for more wherever you're listening from. New episodes of this podcast usually come out weekly. I'm still working on my thoughts for the hyper-crazy Korean action film The Villainous. As I said before, it's a movie with lots of twists and turns and some pretty unhinged action. So that may be the next episode, or it might be something like John Dies at the End, the movie based on the book, which is coming up too. Anyhow, that's all for now, and I'll see you next episode. This podcast episode is a production copyright of Overegged Media LLC, located in Sacramento, California. Reference photos linked in the transcript are copyrighted by the Internet Movie Database. This review's factual information was gathered through online sources like Wikipedia, IMDb, or interviews. Misrepresentations and errors are possible, but unintentional. The introduction music is Neon Laser Horizon by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. And the exit music and additional music, they are also by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. They are also licensed under Attribution 4.0 license. The names of those tracks are Voxel Revolution, Mischief Maker, Quirky Dog, and March of the Spoons. See you next time.